Hi everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Tips with Kimberbell. I'm Kim, and today I want to go over a question that's been asked often, and that is about our new border quilting. So here at Kimberbell, we have new background borders that you can apply to all kinds of projects, especially Kimberbell projects, but just about anything. And one of the things that we just came out with this last week are the border pieces. So today I want to share with you how easy that is to do so that you can put them on any or all of your quilts. All right. Now, I know there's going to be a lot more questions coming up about quilting in general, quilting in the hoop, what we might call quilting as you go. Those kinds of questions, we absolutely welcome them. Go ahead and type those into the comments below, and we will make sure and put your questions and comments into future episodes of Tuesday Tips. This one is just going to focus on borders, but we want to make sure we answer all of those things. So please type those in. We'll go back through after this is over and answer what we can, and then we'll also add those to additional ideas for future Tuesday Tip episodes. All right. So first of all, let's talk borders. In particular, I'm going to use the new Halloween border we just came out with this last week. Check that out. Here's a closer look at what that may look like for you. Now, all of our borders come in a wide variety of sizes. So we know that when you quilt, there's oftentimes what we would call inner borders or sashing borders, and those can be a little bit thinner. You might have like a 1-inch inner border or a 2-inch inner border. But then there's also the larger borders that go on the outside of the quilt, and those may range from 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch borders. So we've got quilting designs for all 6 sizes of those widths of borders, which I think you'll really enjoy. Now, the other thing we have is that each of those width of borders also has a length to them. And so you're going to receive all of the lengths which correspond with the length of your hoop. So even if you have, say, a 5x7 hoop, you actually can do these quilting borders with that 5x7 inch hoop. But if you have even, let's see, a 6x10, I want to make sure I get this right, 6x10 or an 8x12 or a 9x14 hoop, we have sizes for that as well. So of course, the bigger hoop you have, the less hoopings you have to do, but no matter what, you can still do them even with the smallest 5x7 hoop there, okay? It just requires a little more hooping. But I promise it's really easy. So let me show you what a download looks like. The PDF instructions come with your download. And here on the very front page, you're actually going to see what the design is called and, of course, what it looks like. And as you can tell here, I hope you can see that with the 1-inch border, we have a little bit different of a design there. This one we have little bats. And then we have a larger design with bats and cats and hats and pumpkins, you name it, some stars. That's for the wider border. So all those are on there. Now on this very first page, you're also going to see a diagram that shows what each of those borders look like. Of course, on the website, it also has a picture of this diagram, so you know before you buy what you're getting when you purchase that download. All right? So if I were to say, okay, I need a 3.5-inch border, then I would look at all of these diagrams and I would say, okay, I need a 3.5-inch border and I have a 7-inch hoop or 5x7-inch hoop. Well, then I know which file to download, okay? So let me walk you through the instructions for how easy this is to do. What I want you to do, well, let me back up. What I want you to do is first find out from your instructions what size of fabric border you need. Well, here I downloaded the Twilight pillow instructions here, and it has all my fabric cut sizes. And as you'll see in the pink that I've highlighted, those are the border strip blocks that I need. Well, that's because this in particular, for this pillow, is a patchwork border. So see, even if it's a patchwork border, you can still do these border designs. So I know that this patchwork border, the cut size, is 3.5 inches wide. Okay, it says it right there on my little sheet. It's 3.5 inches wide. So if I'm thinking, all right, it's a 3.5 inch wide border, I'm going to go to my download again, and I'm going to go to the second page, and there's a chart, of course, right? There's a chart here. And this, I would go down to what my fabric cut width is. What's my fabric cut width? It's the 3.5 inch width of a border strip. So I'm going to go down, I highlighted it in pink here so that you can see it a little bit better, and I'm going to find the 3.5 inch width border. Okay, now over here it says file name. What we've done is whatever the finished block size is, that's the file name that you have. So for an example, if you have a 3.5 inch cut width of fabric, you're going to, once it's sewn in and it's finished, we know that that is 3-inch border, right? So again, whatever you cut your size to of fabric, that's the fabric cut width. But whatever the finish width of that is going to be, that is your file name that you grab. Okay, so I've cut it at 3.5 inches. I go over here and I see I have 4 different options to choose from. I've got a 3x7 option, a 3x10, a 3x12, and a 3x14. I highlighted 7, 10, 12, and 14 to point out that that's what you're thinking about as your hoop size, all right? So if you have a 5x7 hoop, then you would be looking, or a 6x10 hoop, or a 8x12, or a 9x14, that's the size you're looking for. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to, well, for example, this one, I decided to do a 3x14 size to begin with because on my machine, I had a 14-inch hoop, so I could use this for that, all right? And I went ahead and stitched that out, but now I'm ready to add another piece of my border. So I'm going to do that at my machine, and this time I'm going to use just the 5x7 size. I just want to do that because maybe I don't want my border as long, okay? Before we go into that though, one other thing I want to make sure and mention is that I like to put a fusible backing on the back of that fabric just to give it a little more stiffness to it, a little more structure. It also helps prevent puckering, so I always like to do that. And then as far as how wide or how long, I guess I should say, how long to cut your border strip, well, we always like to measure what our quilt is going to be, what the border strip length needs to be. And then for this quilting, we actually like to give us a little cushion. We like to add 2 inches to that length of border. And that's just because quilting in the hoop can actually kind of pull and tug at those fabrics, and your border strip might end up being a little bit shorter than you need. So for this particular type of project, I've added 2 inches to my border strip. So now I've got this really long border strip, and I am ready to quilt the whole thing by rehooping this, okay? It is so simple to rehoop. You're gonna love how easy this is. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I'm never going to remember this, Kim, well, guess what? We've got instructions for you. So we do have the step-by-step photos for you. Please check that out with your download. It will walk you through every single step of how to do borders, okay? Other thing I want you to note is that there's just a little tiny difference between your first hoop, that's what I first did here, just a very tiny difference, and any additional hoops that you do. So make sure that when you look at the additional hoops, you see that as well. All right? Okay, so by magic of television or a great product development team, they've stepped this out for me where I already have my first hooping done. Now you'll notice, you might be looking at this and going, oh, but what about those long tack down stitches on the sides? that is okay, because that is going to be sewn into your seam, and you'll never have to pick it out. That will be sewn into the seam once you are done. All right? Okay, so we've got this. We've already done our first hooping. It will actually, once you're done, it'll tell you, let me show you in the directions here. For additional hoops, I actually cut away the extra stabilizer there. So as you can see here, there is some stabilizer in the back. I've cut that away around from the outer edge. All right, and now I'm ready to do my next hooping. Again, I just used, for this hooping, I did a 5x7 size, but you can use, as you know, the whatever length of hoop you have, use that hoop. If you want to combine lengths of hoops, because all of them look maybe just a little bit different, as you can see here. They've got some, the longer hoop you have, the more designs you have. So you may want to combine a few different ones together. That's absolutely okay. You'll never be able to tell the difference between where you stopped and where you started with this hooping technique. Okay, so now we've hooped our stabilizer. I just used a cutaway stabilizer, and I've stitched my first line, which is a placement line for my batting. All right, the chart will also tell you how wide to cut your batting. Okay, so in this example, I cut my batting to a 3.5 by 8 inch size. Okay, and then I will just place it down on the top of there and do my next stitch, which is the tack down stitch for the batting. I'm actually going to stop that right now, because the last thing you want to do is watch me stitch, right? So again, I have it stepped out here where it, well, let me pull this away here for just a minute. As you're going to see, that batting was a little bit bigger than your box, and that's what you want, because after that has stitched out that tack down stitch, you're going to use your scissors and cut away the extra batting. All right, so we've done that with this hooping right here. As you can see, all of the extra batting has been trimmed away, and the beauty of the way this is digitized is we do that for a reason, and that's so that your 1/4 inch won't have batting inside that seam allowance. All right, so that's why that is trimmed away. Now I'm ready to add my next piece of fabric here, because I want to stitch right along here. So how do I do that? Well, first thing you're going to do, let me go ahead and forward my design here for just a minute. All right. While this is stitching, this is going to stitch a tack down line, or a placement line, I'm sorry, a placement line for my fabric. Let's see, there we go. Okay, while that's stitching out, I want you to notice that, of course, we've got this little area where this would fold, right? This is the back of my batting. You can notice, I don't know how well you can tell here. You've got the stitching in the batting, and then I've got my fusible on the back there as well. But this is where I want it to start again, my quilting design, okay? So I'm going to fold that in half where that batting stopped, all right? I'm going to fold that in half, and then I want to place that fold. There we go. Once again, I folded it in half, right, where the batting stopped. And then I'm going to line that up with the very top of my batting line here. Notice how you have a 1/4 inch extra on each of these sides, but you don't have it on the top and the bottom. That's because the next tack down line isn't going to show the top and the bottom, because we don't want to have lines in between each of these groups of stitches. We want it to look continuous, right? So this is how it's digitized. I'm going to actually line up that fold. See the top of my fold? I'm lining it up to the top of my batting line. All right, and then the fabric width of the border matches up with these lines here. Okay, so does that, can you see that very well? Awesome. So again, this was up like this. I folded it down where the batting stopped. I now take that fold line and line it up right across the top. And then I want to take some Kimberbell paper tape, here we go, and I'm going to tear off a little piece and roll it, okay? I'm gonna just roll it up, just like this, okay? And then I'm going to place that tape right on top of the stabilizer above the fold. Does that make sense? Okay, once again, folded, lined up, tape. Then I'm going to place this over the tape and smooth it down. All right. Okay, now that's not going anywhere. To also help with the other side of this, I'm going to take another piece of tape, roll it up, and place it along the bottom. All right. This is always tricky to do, a little bit backwards here. So I've taped it underneath here. I'm going to lift up the rest of this fabric here. Whoop, there we go. And I'm going to place another piece of tape right along the bottom, just right outside of that batting. Okay, so I'm going to place that there, and what do you know? I'm going to then gently fold this down very carefully. Hold on, let me do this the right way. There we go. Okay, there we go. And then I press it there. So now I've got tape holding it there. I've got tape holding it there. I can put it back into the machine, and it's going to do what we would call a tack down line. You're going to notice when it does this tack down line that it only does it on the long edges. Again, because we want this to look continuous. We don't want there to be a line going between each section horizontally. All right? So let's go ahead and go to that point. Now it's going to shift over, and it's going to do a tack down line there. Again, this line is going to be in your seam, so you don't need to worry about cutting it out. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. This is my favorite part. My favorite part is doing the next set of quilting designs, because you won't believe how it all looks continuous. It looks like you never took it from one hooping to the next. All right, so we've got our tack down lines. Now I can place this back in here for my last step and stitch the next set of quilting. Let's take a look. I'll tell you what, it is just mesmerizing, isn't it, to watch the machine do what it does? It is so fun to take a look at how this is digitized. Our digitizers here are pretty incredible, I'd say, and they made it possible to do this in a continuous line here that you won't believe. So there's another little witch hat. We're doing some swirls here. Oh, we've got a bat going on now. A bat and a cat. Now, while that's stitching out, I thought I would show you what this looks like on a smaller piece. Now, in this same download, you're going to have, as I mentioned, some thinner some thinner designs that are more for the 1 inch and 2 inch. This would be for your sashing strips or your inner border strips. So this one in particular, the 1 inch, is a line of little bats with stars. Do you see that? How fun is that? And those bats are just flying along there on your entire strip. You know, this was done in 3 different hoopings, and you would never know it, okay? They all just coordinate so well and go one after the other. All right, so we are done with the stitching on that. Check that out. And once you're done, you can pop this out of the hoop. Okay. All right. Take your tape away. And now you've got some batting, right? Or not some batting, some stabilizer. So I'm going to just cut that away. And I'm going to just do it right along that fabric line. Okay, just trim that away. All right, and then I would do that with the other side. Let's just fold it back so you know you can visualize this. And do you see where it started and stopped? Not really. This is what this design can look like on a quilt of yours, which is so fun. Now I can do this again, and I could choose whatever size hoop I wanted to do this next one in. And again, what are we going to do? We're going to fold it back on top of each other and then place it along the top of the batting. All right, so that's how the Kimberbell quilting works for borders. We will do future segments on all different kinds of other techniques that you can use with the Kimberbell quilting designs. I will mention real quick that we even with a patchwork border, you can still do the quilting designs with it. This one, if we were to do it again, we'd probably do it in a black thread just so you could see it a little bit better. But there you can see the little witch hat and the swirl, and because it's nice and tossed, it doesn't matter if it's going vertically or horizontally and such. So this one in particular, though, I will mention that because it is cut to the exact size, because it's pieced, what I would do is actually add on, because remember we want to add 2 inches to our the length of our border before quilting. So I would probably add on maybe another inch on each side of this in that same fabric. Instead of cutting it to the exact size you need, I would add another inch to each side, just so that you know you have plenty after that quilting is done. All right. Okay, so if you have any other questions, let us know in the comments. You can find all of these designs at mykimberbell.com, or just go to kimberbell.com and there's going to be a link there to them. You can find all of those and a whole lot more for Valentine's and any time, Halloween. We have some more general designs that can be used for just about anything. And then we have some Christmas designs coming very, very soon. So watch for that. Thank you for joining me today, everyone. It was great being here with you on Tuesday Tips with Kimberbell. We'll see you again next week. And again, ask your questions and we'll be sure to get all of those answered. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.